Flare 7 Days to Die with Silverblade.
Damn it, son of a... Ouch.
You must remember to,
88 miles per hour!
Don't you feel foolish?
Greetings, minions, engineers, and fellow gamers. This is Silverblade playing Space Engineers, and this is, for all intents and purposes, episode number 2. In the last episode, I gave my major props and kudos to Games for Kicks for getting me this game, as well as Haladmer for really drawing me into the game. Just having a lot of fun. We also brought the atmospheric lander in for an actual safe, stable landing, and I didn't slam it into something or tumble over and lose engines or blow up. We also dug a rudimentary uranium mine with our drill and harvested some stone and some uranium out of there, which we then put into the reactor, and I showed you guys how the reactor works, how the refinery and assembler and all the construction pipes work. I showed you guys how to move left, right, up, down, etc. This is just all the very, very raw basics, and you learn this stuff in the tutorials. I'm just hoping that this will add a little bit more to it, and if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. I love to help out, and hopefully I can give you a good answer. Mind you, I am relatively new to this game. I've just been playing for a few weeks to a month. So I don't know everything. I'm just kind of bumblefucking my way through this. Probably about as much as you guys are that are brand new. So don't feel discouraged. And don't think that I'm super knowledgeable, because I am not. Alright, with all that bullshit aside, let's get into something we all want to do as soon as we start playing the game, and that is building a base. Now, one of the main materials you're going to need here is steel plates, so, you know, we get a supply of those to start with, so just shift and left click to put whatever amount you want into your inventory. You will need these other materials too, but for a basic start, you're going to need the steel plates. Now we need to find a place to basically build this base. Now, we have the mine over there, and that's good. We have the ship over there. That's good. We're going to be doing relays back and forth, and it's going to make you sick at some point. The grindiness of it does kind of wear on me, considering how many games I played that have grindiness to it. So we kind of want a nice levelish spot, something that's kind of exposed to the sun. Now, if you play a game with meteor strikes and drones and stuff like that, you may want to be more creative in where you put your base. And I'm thinking probably right down in here would probably be good. Whoops. Trying to hit C and ended up hitting X. That could have been fatal. Alright, so now we're going to hit G, and we're going to go into Character Tools and Station. We will right click on that, and that'll automatically put it into our toolbar and activate it for us. Now we can rotate this around. Hit B and just kind of bouncy, or hit B again, and it'll level it the hell out. And then you just, let's see, where should we put this exactly? This is good a place as any. So we will just left click and sinks right to the ground. Okay, so we'll hit G again, and we don't need to make another of those blocks, but we do need some actual blocks like this. So we'll right click on light armor block, puts it in the toolbar, and we should be able to bond it with that, but apparently we can't. So what we'll do now is we'll get the grinder out, and we'll do this again. It's Character Tools, Station, Might need to be sunk into the ground a little bit for stability or something. Let's see. So we'll do that. Then we'll go to number 4, and there we go. Now we got a green highlight around the box, which means we can build. So we'll just do this. Just kind of do a basic 3x3. And kind of jet up. And let's see. We'll put this. Actually, we'll use the torch and weld that together, because we won't be able to access it again. Hit 4. Make sure I hit the right one there. Yeah. And then that. And that. Now we're going to make the base a little bit wider. This is just for starts, okay? It's not a permanent look. And one thing I do like about this game is that it's kind of forgiving in terms of, you know, if you make a mistake, you just grind the failed block off, and you get your resources back. I believe that goes for the most part all things. Some things you might lose out on, and now I'll have to show you about that. Okay, so we'll go to G, we'll get this off the toolbar. Now one thing we will want is a means of power generation. So I want to build this up a little bit higher. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oops, alright, so we'll just scooch down. Alright. Jetpack's off. Alright, now what I want to do is get a rotor. So we will type rotor. Oops, helps if I spell correctly. And there's several different kinds. There's this kind. It all depends on resource usage. And these advanced ones have pass-through ability, so you can channel stuff through them. But we don't really need something that fancy. So we'll just go with a basic rotor. So we'll hit X, jetpack up. Now, I'm thinking the sun, it's kind of hard to tell, arcs across like that. So in which case, we'll scooch up here, and then we'll use the insert, delete, home, and page up, page down to rotate this. And I want the 180-degree mark to aim towards the south, or what I believe is the south. Now, to build this completely, we need 2 computers, 4 motors, 4 large steel tubes, 10 construction components, and steel plates, as is detailed on the right of the screen. Now, I have a hell of a time remembering this stuff, so you have to yell at the screen to remind me. So we'll come in here to our ship. We don't need that up on this thing there, so we will come in here, and I know we needed motors, steel tubes, computers, construction components. I think that was it. Alright, so we'll jetpack and fly out over here, get our welding torch out, and yeah, we got all the parts. Sweet. So you just hold the left click button down, and that'll weld that together. Now we also have, I think this section up here needs to be put together. So large steel tube and steel plates. Left click and hold, and that is done. Or wait a minute, is it? No, I need more steel tubes. Oh boy. And we don't have any more, and this could be a problem. Alright, so the next thing we need, we'll come down here. We're going to build a battery. And you'll find out why I needed the rotor in just a little bit. So go to Power Blocks, Battery, right click that to put it in the toolbar. And I just want to put one battery right there. So get the welding tool and come up here. Alright, so we got all the steel plates done. Now we need construction components, power cells, a bunch of them, computers, and construction components. So we'll come back over here to our ship, and this is why I say, oh, slipped off. This is why I say it's always good to have the inventory size maxed out, because it's crazy how much inventory space, or how much relaying back and forth you're going to be doing in this game to build stuff. It'll get a bit repetitious, but it's fun. Alright, so zip, zip, zip. Okay, now we just need 86 power cells. So what we'll do now is we'll empty our inventory of this stuff to make space. And we just grab all the power cells that we can. There's just 82, so I think we're just like, what, 2 short? Okay, so we need just, 4 short. Okay, we pretty close. So, okay, if you right click and drag, it'll let you pick a number. So there we go. I almost forgot about that. Tells you just how new I am at the game still. Alright, so now we have rudimentary power. It's just a battery. It's got only 1 tick of green on it, so it's 1/4 power. Fully depleted in 19 days considering the output, and the only output on this, and I'm hitting F to access that, the only output is for the rotor apparently, which we'll turn off. Go back to battery. Current output 0. So no drainage. Now, a thing I usually do for batteries is sometimes you'll see them checked like that, and there's uses for that. Recharge, discharge, semi-auto. Alright, if you click recharge, it means it is not going to output any power. It's just going to suck power in and hold it. And that's it. If you click discharge, any power that's in it, it will not absorb any more power. It's just going to be pushing power out. With semi-auto, what this means is it'll drain to 0, and when it drains to 0, then it'll switch to recharge to charge to 100, and then it'll switch to discharge to drain to 0 again. All well and good, but what I do is I just set it for no ticks here, because that means it'll take power in if power is coming in, and it'll throw power out as it's required. And it just saves you from having to mess with this. Okay, now we got 1 battery, so what we're going to do now is power blocks. We will take this out and put in a solar panel. But we're going to do a little trickety trick that I like to do first. And we'll come up here and we'll put a... Oh, I need steel plates before I can do that. Alright, so grab like 20 steel plates just for the giggles of it. Come up here and we'll put a block on top of the rotor. Actually, we'll put 2. Alright, let's weld these up. I think we have enough. No, we don't, because I didn't really think about counting. Alright, so we just grab 100. That's got to be enough. There we go. Alright, so we have a rotor and then that. So now we click 5 to select the solar panel. And this is what I usually do is, let's see, should be able to place it. Oh, I need construction components. Gotcha. So come in here and we'll grab these construction components. Jetpack over here. Alright, I like to have where it has these 4 dots on the inside, on the axle, so to speak. And so we'll just click that there. Now we're going to need a lot of parts for this. And now we're out. So now we need solar cells, computers, and large steel tubes. We're out of steel tubes. So here's what we got to do. If you find resources like iron and stuff like that, makes it a lot easier. I don't recall having any iron on hand. So what we got to do is we will go into production and disassemble. Actually, first we got to move. Let's take just 100 steel plates out, and then we'll drag the 100 steel plates into the assembler's inventory. We'll go up to production, click disassembling, and then you can either shift and left click that, or click disassemble all for everything that's in this box here. We just go like that. So now it's going to convert this into iron ingots. So once we get enough iron ingots, we are going to make at least one steel tube. And I don't know why it keeps moving those there, but there you go. So take those, and solar cells aplenty. Should be enough right there. So come over here, and let's see. Yep, that's enough. Alright, so right now there's no sunlight out, so there's going to be 3 red dots. That means there's no power going to it. Now, solar panels get the most power with direct sunlight. Means 4 green bars means maximum power output. 1 green bar, porous shit power output. But 1 solar panel isn't going to be enough. Not by a long shot. So what I like to do is I build 4 of them. And I like to, let's see if I can get in here and flip this just right. There we go. I need construction components. Now see, this one's on this edge, and I would kind of like a pinwheel, kind of offset them so they're not all on the same edge, sorta. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. So we need construction components. That's great. So we'll just do the whole stack. Alright, so we got solar panel there, and we just kind of hover around this way, rotate it, hit and delete. There we go. So we got one there. So it's on that edge of the corner, that edge of the corner, that edge of the corner, and we'll come over here, flip this around, and if I can get in there, there we go. Alright, so if you look from above, it's like that. Pretty simple. Alright, so let's get in, use up the construction components to get these started. Okay, now we need to get the other components like electronics and power, solar cells, and we need to make production 1, 2, 3. Alright, so we don't need these anymore. We need to put our hydrogen tanks in here to get them refilled. Alright, so now we're just going to grab 100 computers. What was it? And we just grab as many solar cells as we can. Come back out here. Oh, I need steel plates too. Okay, that's fine. And can I get around there? So I need more solar cells and some steel plates. Not a problem. Oop, almost banged my head on that really hard. That would have sucked. So 100 steel plates, and I'll just grab the rest of those. We're going to need to grab more solar cells for the other panels. So that panel is complete. We'll just dump off what's in our inventory on this guy. Oh, and I guess the one over there too. I didn't think I had enough on me. Interesting. I can actually build one more if I wanted to. But we're just going to stay with this for right now. Alright, so dump this off. So we got a little bit of power in here from the battery. Now there's no sunlight out, but I'll show you what the method to my madness is. Okay, when the sun comes out, it's going to move in an arc across the sky. Having a stationary solar panel isn't going to keep in the optimal position to absorb energy from the sun. So my reasoning is if you can't move the sun, and there's not I don't have a script, I'm not going to get a mod to have the solar panels on a programmable thing to track the sun. So what I do is a kind of a cheap way of doing it is I put the panels on a spindle like this, and let's see if I can get my hiney up there, and then I just move all the panels. So at least at some point in its rotation, some panel is going to be getting a good jolt of electricity of energy from the sun. And because it's spinning, all of them will be gaining electricity from the sun. But as they turn away, they won't. They'll gain power, they'll lose power. It's kind of like alternating current, essentially, up, down, up, down. If you speed this up fast enough, the ups stay up higher, and the downs, at least when it gets towards dark, will stay down longer. But it's kind of like a capacitive effect. It takes a second for the energy to build up, and then it starts to crumble down. It's like if you took like a yo-yo and you made it into a pendulum, it will go swing up one way, stop in midair before it stalls and goes backwards. Same way with the electricity in these solar cells. It builds up and then it starts to sweep back down. So if you keep rotating it, it will kind of keep it in a constant charging state. At least that's what it's been in my experience, and I could be wrong on this. There could be a better way of doing this. I could be just misinterpreting the results that I've seen. So let's just demonstrate how this goes here. So we got our battery. It's got 900 kilowatt hours of electricity in it, and we have our rotor. Now we got to set up the rotor just right. Now first of all, let's see, we got toggle block on off. We want it off for right now. The velocity is 0. Upper limit is unlimited, lower limit unlimited. This means it'll rotate continuously. Now if you set it, if you hold control and left click, this way you can actually type in. Well, okay, apparently I recorded like a third of an episode after this last section you had just seen, and the problem is I set my num key, the minus key on the numpad, as my start-stop for recording. So while I was typing in the numbers for the rotor, which is right here, it ended up stopping the recording, and then I just continued on, not knowing that it had stopped. And then at the end of the recording, I turned it back on again. So I made a boo-boo. And anyways, we did the rotor alignment. So let's try to get back to that a little bit. I won't type it in because it'll screw it up. But if you, let's see, that's wrong. We need to set that to 0. If you hold control and left click, you can do that. So we'll just go like that. As long as I don't hit the negative key, we're good. So you can see it's just like that. Now if we go into rotor and then change the orientation, let's see, right now it's 47 degrees. Otherwise it's control, left click, and then type in like negative 47. Let's see, if we go up to the top, it should be, well, maybe it didn't. Let's try this again. We'll just type in 47 with the big numbers, 45 rather. And still recording, sweet. Okay, should work. And it's not. See, maybe if we turn it on. It's kind of stupid on my behalf. But I didn't really know that it would do that. So let's try it negative 43. Maybe it might do it. Okay, well, anyways, you see how these are aligned and that this is kind of on an angle. Basically, you would spin this so that it's this corner of this block up here gets rotated to the center of this here. Now, what I like to do, and I think I mentioned this off camera, is if you put a rotor here, turn it at 45 degrees, or sometimes if I do multiples, usually of 4. So it'd be 22.5 degrees is half of 45, so 22.5, then a 4 blade of solar panels, another rotor, 22.5 from the based off the axis of the one below it, and then the next one up 22.5. It actually rounds it up to 23. In this case, you end up with like a drill effect, where the blades of the solar panels are kind of staggered a little bit around. So as this would spin, you'll always have at least one solar panel getting constant sunlight and constant juice. For now, we'll leave it at that. Now, what you didn't get to see when I screwed up was I made a cargo container. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, all the components that was required to make it. I don't recall if you were able to see me tearing off the engine, so we're going to do that again. Well, I'm going to do that again. It'll be the first time for you, I guess. The thing to keep in mind when you're tearing apart large objects, or just any objects, is look at the volume in the lower left side of your screen. It's the third thing from the bottom. You have broadcasting, radio, and volume. If the volume numbers turn red, your inventory is full. So just do little taps. Alright, so we're full. Alright, so we'll actually dump them off over here and do this cargo container. Alright, so come back over here, grab some more. And the reason why you want to do it in little steps like that, instead of just drill the whole thing off, is you might lose parts. There we go. So when it turns red, stop grinding and start dumping. So we're going to end up with a lot of motor parts, because these things are made of over 1,000 of them. There we go. Let's come over to this side and plunk it in. Now there's so much stuff that I think I'm probably going to end up not reciting that I did in the off-camera shit that I thought I was recording. Okay, so as you see, nothing fell on the ground. If something falls on the ground, chances are it may roll downhill and disappear forever. It might fall through the earth. It's a waste of materials. So just keep that in mind, that when you're tearing stuff apart, you might fill up your inventory, and the excess will fall to the ground and get lost forever. And you don't want that. Alright, so we got a basic base set up. We got a battery to power it. The solar panels, when the daylight kicks in, it'll charge it up, because this is connected to the base, and the power goes through the base. It's like invisible wires. As soon as we get some sunlight, these red lights will turn black, and then they'll start going 1 green light, 2, 3, 4 green lights is good. We'll get this rotating. So, rotor. we will just let it go unlimited, which means it'll spin completely around instead of being locked into one position. Now you set a lower limit of 45 degrees one way, and 43 degrees that way, and say 45 degrees the other. And I'm not 100% sure, but it like would rotate one way, then rotate back, and rotate the other. I'm not sure that happens quite right. But you can set limits for the maximum amount of spin it'll have. But if you do it unlimited, it'll just continue to rotate round and round and round. Now, to get to spin, you need some velocity. Now, in this case here, I like, because of the way the panels are set on here, I like it to go backwards, actually. So you can either just go velocity this way or velocity that way, but we just go in the negative, and as you can see, it's spinning around. When light is low, it's usually best to have it spin around 5 RPMs to kind of sponge up as much light power as possible. When it's bright daylight, then just crank it right up. It has a sine wave effect. If I hadn't mentioned it before, I can't remember everything I had said that was on camera and what I said off camera, but it has like a sine wave effect of charge and discharge. If it's constantly spinning at a fast speed, it'll charge up, and instead of just dipping completely down, it just kind of charge up, dip down a little, charge up, dip down a little. So you kind of have a higher sine wave. It means a constant power instead of going full on, full off, full on, full off. It's on all the time, and it just slowly trickles when it's in the shadow, charges when it's in the sun, and it just keeps going. There may be a better way of doing it. You'll have to tell me in the comments. And if I'm full of shit, if I don't know what I'm talking about, then you'll have to tell me in the comments. Which could very well be that I'm full of shit and not know what I'm talking about. I'm new at this, alright? Alright, so yeah, unfortunately there's some stuff that's missing from the recording. That sucks. One thing you do not want to do when you have a spinning rotor like this, especially with solar panels, is stick your tongue out into it. Or just get into it yourself, because you'll get slapped off, especially since the torque is on high, and it'll likely kill you, if not beat you batshit senseless. So watch your step around these things. You don't want to get hit by them. That's why I build a tower, a high tower, and not get into it. Now you can orient the solar panels in a vertical fashion instead of horizontal, and it works. I just like the look of it like this. It's kind of like a windmill effect, just kind of dazzling in a way. Ooh. But anyways, yeah, we got that working. I built this cargo container because we have to tear apart that ship, and all the parts, instead of being in there, have to go over here. Before you get crazy on that idea, make sure that you have an assembler, a refinery, oxygen generation, a med bay, enough power to keep it going. What else? Oxygen tank. Yeah, all that over there before you completely tear these parts out. So what you want to do is tear apart the engines, which are not essential anymore. Get the basic structure of the ship tore apart, and then all the parts you could put in the cargo container. And then once you have the assembler, the refinery, all the important bounced off of that one. All the important stuff like these things, basically tore down and replaced over there. Then you can tear them apart over here, because otherwise you won't have anything to build with, and you'll pretty much have to start over again or respawn in a new ship, something to that effect. So I don't quite remember if I covered that in the section that actually got recorded, but I'll just say it just to make sure that it isn't missing from the recording, which is quite disappointing. I'll have to keep that in mind, or change my hotkey button. Alright, anyways guys, I hope that the second episode has been helpful to you. I really wish I hadn't had to chop it like I did, but them's the breaks. Anyway, I might be getting some power here in a little bit. Ooh, got a little bit close. Anyways, like, dislike, comment either way. Keep it polite, keep it constructive. Do remember that I am fairly new at this game. So if you have some really harsh criticisms, I mean, I could take it, but, you know, be fair. Understand that I am new at this, and I'm kind of looking at this from the same perspective as someone else that is brand new to this game. And offering what little advice I can give based on what I've gleaned from other YouTubers, in particular Haladmer, Rongo the Bold, and Games for Kicks, but other guys out there, and hopefully this will help. So share if you think this has been helpful and may help somebody else. Subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitter at SilverbladeDag, D-A-G-G, so you'll know when new episodes come out, and any other announcements relating to my channel, funny stuff, you know, go ahead and follow me. So anyways, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, see you later. Twitch. Alright, this will end the recording right